Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to a Friday edition of the Steel City Sports Report, where we talk everything Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates. I am your host, Brady Vini, and it is an open forum Friday here on the channel. Not too much news to talk about, so for those of you here, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, anything of the sort, let's have some interaction here tonight, and let's just have some unscheduled fun. There are a couple things that we are going to talk about. The local baseball team, Pittsburgh Pirates, coming off an exhilarating series win over the Arizona Diamondbacks, will be back in action tonight after a day off. They take on the San Diego Padres, game 1 of 3 out there on the West Coast, starting tonight at 9:40. Also going to be talking about the football team as well, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yesterday, news broke from Adam Schefter that the Steelers were in trade talks with the Miami Dolphins for tight end Jonnu Smith. Are those reports from Schefter true? We're starting to lean towards maybe not, and the Steelers are sort of being used as a median for Jonnu Smith to get a deal done down there in Miami. Also, we'll just hit on the coaching search for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Like always, another NHL team hiring a head coach today. The Penguins are one of 2 teams left yet without a head coach this offseason. And then we'll get into some loose items as they come along. First things first, if you are new here, please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so that you never miss when I am live again. Also, feel free to drop a comment in the comments section like I have right here. I can pop those up at a moment's notice, and we can talk about whatever you would like. Also, like and share this video to get more views on this live stream. I appreciate you all, like always. So let's get right into it. We'll hit on everything here today. Might be a quick stream, might not. We'll see how things go. Let's start with the baseball team, of course. Like I said, back in action tonight. Probably enjoyed a nice day at the beach yesterday in San Diego. The Bucs did, after taking 2 out of 3 over the Diamondbacks earlier this week. Of course, the Bucs, they lost game 1 5-0. Looked like they were heading for a similar fate in game 2, but then had that great comeback powered by Henry Davis, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, Brian Reynolds, and others. And then game 3 of that series, which I was live for Wednesday afternoon, the Bucs from beginning to end, they put a whooping on the Diamondbacks, beating them 10-1. That lone run for the Diamondbacks in garbage time once the game was already out of reach in the 9th inning. Looking ahead to tonight, the Padres, second in the National League West. They are one of the toughest teams to play out on the West Coast. The Diamondbacks, they were no slouch either, but this Bucs team, even though they are very much still in the basement in their own division in the league, they have been playing so much better. They're passing the eye test under Don Kelly, and that's, saying a lot because they are 500 under Kelly as manager. Looking ahead to tonight's ball game, Mitch Keller on the mound for the Bucs, going against Nick Pivetta, the former Boston Red Sox, for the Padres. Keller so far this year, a 1-6 record. That lone win for Keller coming in his first start of the season. Has yet to win since then. And, some of it he's had a struggle, on the mound from here and there, but his losses are kind of, for the most part, like what other Pirate pitchers have faced, and that was with the offense being lacklustered up until recent memory. So Keller 1-6 on the year, a 3.66 ERA, 55 strikeouts. He goes against Pivetta tonight. Pivetta sort of having a above average year by his standards. 5-2, a 2.72 ERA, 63 strikeouts. I didn't remember him being all that when he was with the Boston Red Sox, but now out in San Diego, he is off to a hot start this year with the Padres. Hopefully the Bucs and their red hot bats of late can bring him back down to earth a little bit. Looking at the Bucs lineup here tonight, O'Neal Cruz, he will lead off once again in center field. .230 batting average on the year, 18 stolen bases for Cruz. So when he gets on, he gets moving pretty quickly. 12 home runs, 26 RBIs. You want to get your best batter in the game, give him as many at-bats. That's why O'Neal Cruz is at the top of the lineup. Andrew McCutchen batting second, designated hitting. Brian Reynolds in the 3-hole tonight in right field. Spencer Horwitz cleanup once again for playing at first base. He's been a welcome surprise after returning from injury a couple weeks ago. Still moving up in the lineup, Henry Davis. He will bat fifth tonight and catch Mitch Keller. Believe he caught Keller the last time that Keller pitched as well. So, maybe Davis, he would have been in there tonight regardless of whether Joey Bart was healthy or not. But also, you can tell that with him and his hot streak at the plate, the skipper, Don Kelly, he is showing a lot of confidence in Davis. Davis under Derek Shelton for just about all of his appearances under Derek Shelton. He's been batting ninth every single time under Don Kelly after hitting that clutch two-run home run back on Tuesday. He batted sixth in the last game, and now he bats fifth here tonight. In the 6-hole, key Brian Hayes, still looking for more consistency with the bat from him. A .227 batting average with a .571 OPS. That is second worst OPS-wise in the lineup here tonight. Adam Frazier, who helped Henry Davis refine his swing and stop pulling everything 380 feet foul every time he makes contact. He bats behind Hayes in the 7-hole. The guy with the lowest OPS in the lineup here tonight. Nobody shocked to hear this. Tommy Pham back in there, batting eighth and playing in left field, which, hey, I'll give him a little bit of credit. He's been better recently. Not good, but better. And then Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, he's hit a hot streak like Henry Davis and Brian Reynolds lately. He is sort of the leadoff to the leadoff man, batting ninth once the lineup rolls over, playing in shortstop here this evening. Looking at the San Diego lineup, lots of good names for Mitch Keller to go against. Fernando Tatis Jr., one of the best in the game, leads off and plays in right field. A .273 batting average with 13 home runs and 28 RBIs so far this year. Luis Arias, one of the best power bats in the league. He bats second, playing first base, a .290 batting average. He's been a batting champion in recent years. Manny Machado, veteran in the league, been there for a while now. He bats third, .313 batting average for Machado this year. Behind him, last year's runner-up in the NL Rookie of the Year race behind Paul Skeens, center fielder Jackson Merrill, slugging a .330 batting average, getting on base, and he is dangerous each and every time you face him. Still, every single time these two teams meet up, you see from the Padres fan, oh, Jackson Merrill, he's the real NL Rookie of the Year. Like, shut up. Merrill's good. Merrill's not good. He's great. He might be elite, and he could be elite in this league for a long time. However, being elite, that is the base level for Paul Skeens. So if you're a Padres fan and you're still bitching and bitching and bitching and bitching some more and complaining and moaning that Jackson Merrill didn't win Rookie of the Year, GTFO. So Merrill, he bats fourth here tonight. Behind him, Gavin Sheets, the former Chicago White Sox. He's designated hitting tonight, followed by Xander Bogaerts, another former Boston Red Sox, at shortstop. Jake Cronenworth, second base tonight. He bats seventh. I believe that is Tyler Wade, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, Tyler Wade. He will play in left field tonight, batting eighth. And then rounding out the lineup for San Diego, a former Bucco, Elias Diaz, does the catching here this evening. So great lineup, pretty much an A lineup all the way through for the San Diego Padres. Of course, the one big name for them missing Jurix and Profar, who got suspended for PED substance use before the season started, I believe. He's the only guy missing from that lineup, I do believe. But the A-plus lineup for the San Diego Padres that Mitch Keller will go against tonight. Nick Pivetta seeing pretty much the same thing from the Bucs that you can really get at this point. The only person I would have in the lineup tonight is Alexander Canario, but he's played a lot of baseball recently, and he could use a night off. So should be an entertaining game. Hopefully the Bucs with their bats can keep that thing close throughout most of the night. I'd be shocked if they wound up, getting 8, 9, 10 runs like what they did in their previous 2 games. But it should be entertaining nonetheless. Hopefully Mitch Keller can get some run support and have his A-plus stuff tonight against the second best team in the NL West behind the Los Angeles Dodgers. So that again is a 9:40 first pitch here tonight. Lots of excitement and anticipation again watching the Pittsburgh Pirates. It's been a while since we've said that as Pirates fans. I mean, still it's pretty much 99% a completely and totally lost season at this point. But hey, Don Kelly, he's got these boys fighting. And hopefully that continues here tonight. If you're going to lose, at least lose entertainingly. That is all we could ask for. Moving into some football talk real quick, let's switch over to a bit of news that we saw yesterday. Jonnu Smith, tight end for the Miami Dolphins. Adam Schefter reported that the Steelers were in trade talks with the Dolphins for Smith, but that Smith is working on getting his contract reworked with the Dolphins, and that he wants to stay in Miami. So that left us all confused. Are the Steelers really serious about bringing in another tight end when you already got 2 great ones? Well, not 2 great ones, but 2 solidified NFL players in Pat Freiermuth and Darnell Washington. We were all confused. Like, all right, I get Arthur Smith. He historically loves to run tight end heavy offenses, but do we really need this guy when we still have a hole at the wide receiver 2 position? Common sense would tell you no, and common sense seems to be prevailing here. Steelers insider for the Pat McAfee show, formerly of The Athletic, Mark Caboli, said on 93.7 The Fan today that the Steelers aren't interested at all in trading for Jonnu Smith. There was also an insider down in Miami for the Dolphins that was on 93.7 The Fan today saying that this report that the Steelers are in trade talks for the Pro Bowl tight end are most likely false as well. Smith has family down in Miami. He wants to stay there. And that report from Adam Schefter was most likely him being told to, hey, put out something by Jonnu Smith's agent to sort of put the Dolphins' feet, or I guess fins, to the fire. So I think it's going to be like the Brandon Ayuk thing all over again. Now, to a much, much smaller degree here with Jonnu Smith. I mean, we kind of are sniffing out that this is BS, before it even gets off and running too much here. So it's going to be a guy using an insider in Adam Schefter, more specifically his agent, Jonnu Smith's agent, Drew Rosenhaus, I believe, who's one of the best, if not the top player agent in the NFL. So I think it's going to be something where the Dolphins, they're going to end up reworking his contract. That's going to be and the Steelers, they were just used as by their literal name in this sense, saying, oh, if you're not going to rework his contract, he'll go here, when there's absolutely no substance to it whatsoever. So I think we all can sweep the Jonnu Smith rumors under the rug, or at least, put it on the back burner here on a very, very low simmer. But don't get your hopes up if, you're a big Jonnu Smith fan on him coming to Pittsburgh, which, hey, reading about this, and reacting to everything that we saw yesterday, I'd be okay with Jonnu Smith. At this point, you're the Steelers. You got one wide receiver. a pass catching weapon is a pass catching weapon. Doesn't matter if they have a W, R, or TE next to their name. I'd take Jonnu Smith. Shout out Ross McCorkle. I saw this yesterday, but did not bring it up when I was on my live stream. To put things into perspective, Jonnu Smith's 884 yards last year, which was a Dolphins franchise record, would be good for second most in Steelers franchise history for a tight end, more than any of Heath Miller's single seasons, and tied for the most touchdowns with Heath Miller as well. So Jonnu Smith, if he were to come to Pittsburgh and put up similar numbers, we'd be talking him in the same vein as some of the Steelers legends. And also, I think that would have put him at the top of the list for receptions, receiving touchdowns, and pretty much every other stat on last year's Steelers team. So going to put the Jonnu Smith stuff down for now. Don't think that it is going to happen anytime soon. Also, just some other things that the Steelers aren't connected to, but could be. Jordan Schultz from The Athletic today, who said yesterday, kind of, said the obvious, that the Steelers want to add a pass catcher without, delivering any sort of, putting any sort of meat on that bone. He said today that multiple teams have reached out to the Atlanta Falcons about the availability of tight end Kyle Pitts. Nothing is imminent, and Atlanta would prefer to keep him, but I'm told it would take at least a day 2 pick to even spark serious talks. If the Steelers, if that Jonnu Smith report was real and the Steelers were looking to add another pass-catching tight end, that one right there, like Jonnu Smith, who spent a lot of time in the Arthur Smith offense, both in Tennessee and Atlanta, Kyle Pitts, if the Steelers were one of those multiple teams who reached out, that would make sense as well. Pitts, he played under Smith when Smith was head coach for 3 years in Atlanta. And, he hasn't had the most star-studded career for a former 4th overall pick to this point, and he had some lowlights during his time under Arthur Smith, but maybe a change of scenery would do him best. Athletic as all hell, but, again, not something that I think the Steelers are going to at least give up a day 2 pick to begin with at this point. Also, another thing, Zachary Smith from Steelers Now posted last night that the Steelers have contacted the Tampa Bay Buccaneers about a potential trade for wide receiver Trey Palmer. Palmer, 24, was a 6th-round pick in 2023. He has 51 receptions for 557 yards and 4 touchdowns in his career. At that point, Trey Palmer, I have no idea if this is true. I will tend to believe it right now because it's a wide receiver, but that trade does not move the needle whatsoever. Trey Palmer, 6th-round pick 2 years ago, and he's just over 50 receptions and 500 yards in his career. And last year he had a ton of, time to where he could have gotten on the field. You saw Chris Godwin suffer a big ankle injury. Mike Evans has missed some times in recent years. And, Palmer, aside from his first year, I think his first year he had over 300 yards, but last year he was barely over 100, I believe. That will just be like acquiring, and it's no offense to these guys, it's like acquiring another, reserve number 4 or 5 wide receiver, which you already have in Ben Skoranek and Scotty Miller at this point. Scotty Miller, a former Tampa Bay Buccaneer, by the way. So that doesn't move the needle. Also, the Buccaneers, if they actually had some hope that Trey Palmer was going to be a contributing guy to their offense, they wouldn't have spent a 1st-round pick this past draft on a Mecca Egbuka from Ohio State, and then the draft before, I believe they used a 3rd-round pick on I forget his name. McMillan was the last name out of Washington. So thank you, Buccaneers, but no thank you. We will pick him up if you end up cutting him, maybe. So Steelers, they got a little bit of time here, but you would like to get another wide receiver under contract before too long. After all, today does mark 100 days until the NFL season begins. So 100 days to go for Arthur Smith to replace George Pickens. For you in here right now, if you are new, please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so that you never miss when I am live again. I appreciate you being here tonight. Also, leave your comments in the live chat. Going to try to do an open forum Friday here today. If you have any questions, comments, thoughts, get those in. I can pop those up on the screen and we'll talk about it. If not, we will breeze through some other news stories that we got going on here, and then we will head into the weekend, seeing what else comes up and what all happens in this upcoming Pittsburgh Pirates San Diego Padres series. We're going to move over into hockey talk for a brief moment. We gave an update yesterday, or the day before, I believe, on the Pittsburgh Penguins coaching search. Penguins most likely going to hire Mitch Love. He is the odds-on favorite to be the Pens' next head coach. Mitch Love, highly spoken of by a ton of people, both inside and outside of the Washington Capitals organization. He was an assistant coach there for last year, and I think maybe a year or two before then, under Spencer Carberry, who has been one of the brightest up-and-coming coaches in the NHL. So Mitch Love could be on his way to Pittsburgh here soon enough. Also, some other coaches have been thrown out there. DJ Smith, Jay Woodcroft. There was another one, Nelson, who's the AHL coach for the Hershey Bears. So with that, we saw the coaching availabilities narrow again here today. Lane Lambert, the assistant coach for the Toronto Maple Leafs, he was hired last night by the Seattle Kraken as their new head coach after firing Dan Bilesma, the former Penguins head coach, a couple months ago. So with Lane Lambert now on his way west to Seattle, that now leaves the Penguins and the Boston Bruins as the final two teams with head coaching vacancies. And if I had to guess right now, you will see one team hire Jay Woodcroft and you will see one team hire Mitch Love. I know that just like the Penguins, the Bruins, they have similar interests in each of those men like the Penguins do. If I had to predict, I'd say Jay Woodcroft will end up becoming the new bench boss up there in Boston, and Mitch Love, he will come to Pittsburgh. He will be sort of a developmental coach, bring up these younger guys from the AHL who had a good year last year. You'll see more Ville Koivunen, Rucker McGroarty, Vasily Ponomarev, maybe some Tristan Brose, Harrison Brunick, Sergei Murashov. Just depends on, what all moves Kyle Dubas makes on the free agency and trade market this summer. So time's a ticking. Again, as I mentioned on here before, one more day, Sunday, the 1st of June, that is when Kyle Dubas said that you can most likely expect a decision on the Penguins head coaching gig. So we are winding down the days here to see what the Penguins are going to do. I, at this point, would love Mitch Love, like I said, developmental guy, and also he's going to let, the top lines, your Crosbys, Rakels, all that do their own thing. He's going to get the bottom six, which has been lackluster for the better part of 3 years now. He's going to get them in line and get them competing and being more physical on the ice. All right, so going to move over to the more Pittsburgh news segment at this point. We're going to start again with football. Some new jersey numbers came out recently. I like following this NFL jersey numbers account on Twitter. Kenneth Gainwell, we've said this before on this channel, he changed his number from 21 to number 14, filling in the George Pickens number vacancy there. So Yeah, Kenneth Gainwell not showing any sort of care that Pickens once had that number. Gainwell, number 14, also the number that he wore when he was with the Philadelphia Eagles. His 21 was then picked up by undrafted free agent wide receiver Montana, Lamonius Craig. Just, again, an awesome name there. Sounds like from a Key and Peele skit right there, Lamonius Craig. Trey Sermon, the former San Francisco 49er and Indianapolis Colt. He will wear number 27, splitting that number with Trey Sermon or Corey Trice on defense right now. Max Hurlman, he is wearing number 34, running back, I believe, out of Notre Dame or Washington. I forget which college he went to. He is sharing that number 34 with Dante Kent, 7th-round pick out of Central Michigan in this year's draft. Guard Nick Broker, who has recently signed to a contract, he wears number 61. And the last number here, offensive lineman Gareth Warren, who impressed in the rookie minicamp. He will wear number 78, last worn by James Daniels last year, but is currently being shared with Y.A. Black, the Steelers' 5th-round draft pick. One person who will not have a number anymore because he is released, defensive end Blake Mangelson. Honestly, completely forgot that guy was even on the roster. Tells you how much of an impact he made, impressing the coaches. Center Zach Frazier, he had a comment today about the quarterback position, saying, quote, "It's not up to me, so I really don't know. Chemistry is important, I'll say that, regarding the QB position." Maybe throwing a subtle shot there at Aaron Rodgers, kind of like a bunch of other people on the team saying, hey, get your ass here if you want things to go right. Chemistry is important. You saw, Frazier have some snap issues last year with Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, but, it was more so with Fields because Fields has always had snap issues during his career, but Frazier at this point, I think he would like to know who his starting quarterback is going to be so he can develop a, good relationship with and have things be much smoother than they were last year. Also, happy birthday, corner Corey Trice. Bright things for him, hopefully. Steelers are very high on him. Hopefully he can stay on the field. He's battled quite the injury bug to begin his NFL career. And the last thing on the Steelers today, back to Mark Caboli being on 93.7 The Fan. He says that the Steelers have made an offer to TJ Watt. An offer is on the table. The offer is good, but it is not up to the standards of what TJ Watt is looking for. So if I had to guess what the Steelers offered here, probably his current deal with, maybe a little bit more sprinkled on top of it. TJ Watt, of course, at this point in his career, I think he and his agent might understand that this will be his last mega contract. He is 30 years old at this point, and his brother retired at still a decently young age in the NFL. You don't know how much football TJ is going to have left in him, especially dealing with injury as well in recent years. So he's going to be looking to get one last big payday. Also, I think he wants to get one over on Myles Garrett and all of the other pass rushers in the NFL who he expects to be better than. So Caboli there, I don't think he's breaking too much. Steelers making an offer, that's the beginning here, though I don't think anything is going to happen in the immediate future. This is going to be a long process here and a long wait before TJ and the Steelers agree to terms, which I still have little doubt that a deal will not be reached. Moving on to baseball, just one quick story. USA Today insider Bob Nightingale, he was also on 93.7 The Fan today, a loaded list of guests on 93.7 The Fan today. He said that the Pittsburgh Pirates made $40 million last year, and that according to the other team owners, they know that the Pirates made that much as well. They have seen the books. this is a very different contrast to what Dan Kovacic of DK Pittsburgh Sports reported earlier this offseason, saying that the Pirates actually lost about $2 million in revenue following last season. So at this point, you don't know what to believe. I've seen more now that the Pirates have made money somewhere between the $40 million that was stated here and $26 million. Not many people have taken the side of Dan Kovacic that the Bucs have lost money. So who knows? At this point, I don't care. I just want more money put into the team in general, and not in these, analytical nerds in the front office saying, "Oh, Tommy Pham, he's due to hit slightly better than what he was." I want that money put into some damn players, and just let's go spend money to make nutty there. Nutting. Last thing here, we're going to move into hockey for a couple of things. The Stanley Cup final is set between the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers. It is a rematch of last year's Stanley Cup finals. It is the first time that we have a Stanley Cup final rematch in back-to-back years since the Detroit Red Wings and Pittsburgh Penguins in 2008 and 2009. So we will see how things go in this series, if there will be alternating winners like those two finals or not. Also get to watch a couple of former Pittsburgh Penguins in that series, trying to think of off the top of my head of what former Penguins are on each team. We know Kasperi Kapanen is with the Edmonton Oilers. On the Panthers side of things, Evan Rodriguez and Dmitry Kulikov come to mind, but probably maybe one other guy that I'm, not remembering right now. But regardless, we will get another year where a teammate of Jaromir Jagr will play in the Stanley Cup finals. This is an interesting stat. Jaromir Jagr teammate, has played in the Stanley Cup for 45 consecutive years. It started with Brian Trottier in 1980, and it runs to this day with Alexander Barkov for the Florida Panthers. Just looking at some familiar names on this list: Trottier, Mark Messier, Joe Mullen, Yuri Herdina, Mario Lemieux. Trying to look here. It's small text, as you would imagine. Scott Gomez, Brendan Shanahan, Jay Pandolfo, Mark Recchi, Peter Sikora, Dan Carcillo, Willie Mitchell, Chris Versteeg, Matt Cullen in 2016 and 2017 with the Pens, Braden Shen, Braden Coburn, and now up to most recently, Alexander Barkov. I skipped over some names in there, but very impressive stat from Jaromir Jagr, I will not lie. And I honestly could see that streak go on for a couple more years. Also, this year, a couple of mock trades dropped by The Score, a hockey website. I am a little bit familiar with their work. They dropped some mock trades of what the Penguins could do this season. Penguins may be looking to offload a couple of the bigger contracts on their roster. One that I do not see happening for multiple reasons is that the Score, they have one trade that is sending Rickard Rakell to the Toronto Maple Leafs for Nick Robertson, who's a forward that's been linked to the Penguins before, Topi Niemela, prospect, and 2 second-round picks, one in 2025, one in 2027. The Rickard Rakell one here, I do not see happening whatsoever. Rakell's coming off his best season, and you want to at least keep Sidney Crosby a little bit happy. You sold off Jake Gensel, which took a big hit on Sid. I don't think you want to get rid of Rakell or Brian Rust or anyone else like that. He had his best year in the NHL that I have seen last year. Also, Kyle Dubas doing deals, sending one of his best players to the place that, outcasted him and still treat him and say nasty things about him to his day. I don't see that happening. Could I maybe see a similar trade happen with another team, maybe, but still unlikely. A trade that I do see that could likely happen, which kind of hot and cold on. Erik Karlsson, the score says, could be on the move to the Detroit Red Wings, an interesting destination there, for defenseman Justin Hall, forward Michael Rasmussen, and I'm not sure if this guy is a forward or defensive prospect, William Wallander. So Karlsson to Detroit is an interesting one. Detroit pretty much, they got Moritz Seider on their defensive blue line as their top guy. Karlsson there, he could bring more of an offensive mindset to that defense. Seider, he's pretty much a two-way guy. However, the return there, I can't really get behind. Justin Hall, he was like a seventh defenseman there. He was a healthy scratch here and there for Detroit. Pretty much the only reason why I think they put him in this trade is because he's a former Toronto Maple Leaf guy when Dubas was up there. Michael Rasmussen, okay forward, but, I would like one of the better forwards from Detroit other than him. And then William Wallander, not too familiar. I do know he's a noteworthy prospect, probably a top 10 prospect in that organization. But I get Erik Karlsson in Pittsburgh hasn't had the best go of it, but still that is a bit lowballing unless, Detroit is willing to take the entirety of Karlsson's $10 million contract. Then I could see, that being a more fair trade. So those are two mock trades there from the score. Have no doubt whatsoever that Dubas will be very active this offseason. You might see a high, pedigree guy like a Karlsson get offloaded. Could see the exile of some other big bloated contracts too, like maybe a Ryan Graves and Tristan Jarry. That will be more to get the contract off the team, and the Pens won't be getting much back in that case. But should be a fun off season. Very intriguing one where you'll see a ton of new changes to this Penguins team as they shift their rebuild back to more of a contention state. And the last thing here that I will check Twitter then to see if anything else is going on before we log off here for the night. The NHL, they are doing a face-off inside the NHL series on a certain streaming platform. I forget what it was. Maybe Hulu or something like that, if I remember. But anyway, the NHL covering a bunch of certain players in the league. I think I saw there was 15-ish players when I saw the first graphic for this show. So they'll be following around a bunch of players in the NHL from all different teams. Marc-Andre Fleury is on that list. And also a new list of who will be on it, a new addition, Sidney Crosby. He will be joining the show. I'm sure lots of people for years now have been wondering, wanting to see a little behind the curtain in Sid's life. He will be the only Penguin on the show. There were no Penguins besides, maybe Fleury, who's a former Penguin, on the show. But now Sid, the captain, maybe getting a little behind the scenes look at him. I certainly will be interested in taking a peek at that. All right, going to do one more scroll here through the Twitter, see what all we got going on. Just another interesting stat regarding Donnie Kelly. I saw this. Donnie Kelly is only 3 wins away from tying Derek Shelton's win total on this season. He took over on May 9th. So in less than a month, with 3 more wins, Donnie Kelly could do a ton more than what Derek Shelton has done to begin this. I'm sorry, I'm talking slow here. Interesting. Mason Rudolph, who was visiting the White House about a week or so ago, which a lot of people were wondering, all right, why is Mason there? Kind of odd. He is speaking at the U.S. Steel Nippon Steel merger event with President Donald Trump. Huh. Okay, Mason, you made it to the top. Congratulations. That is very, very cool to see. So I guess that might explain why he was at the White House. Another thing here, Alan Saunders reporting Mason Rudolph and special teams captain Miles Killebrew and Hall of Honor member Rocky Bleier joined President Trump on stage at a rally in West Mifflin. So Rudolph wasn't the only one there. He was joined by Miles Killebrew and Rocky Bleier. I have no surprise there from Rocky Bleier being there. If someone else gets the QB job over Mason Rudolph, I'm assuming Trump will impose tariffs on Mike Tomlin somehow. Holy hell, man, to God say posts. So, there you go. Interesting here. Stu Barnes, former Penguins forward, is now a minority owner of the Tri-City Americans. He stepped down as head coach and will not return for the 2025-26 season either. So looking more here, see if we got anything else going on. Not seeing too much here. Was an event-filled week, I will say, covering the Bucs and how well they've been doing recently. That was fun to cover. Also, some the first week of Steelers OTAs. That was great. So, fun week, and we will be back here on Monday. I think that is all I'm seeing here. So, going to wrap things up there. Hope you all enjoy a fine rest of your weekend. One final time, please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so that you never miss when I'm live again. We will return on Monday. Also, like, comment, and share this video. I appreciate you all, like always, and I will see you guys back here on Monday. Let's enjoy what will hopefully be another series win for the Battling Buccos. See you guys back here to recap it all Monday. Peace. Have a good weekend.